Are you looking to make worm tea from your vermicompost? In this video, I'm going to show you how simple it is to make your own worm compost tea. Hi, this is Jeremy Starke here from Green Thumb Gardener, here to give you some tips, tutorials, and reviews for all your gardening needs. In this video, we're going to go over a couple different ways on how to make worm compost tea. There's very minimal equipment that you do need. You really just need buckets, some water, and some compost. But I'm going to show you a couple other methods, another method or so that will show you how to up your game when it comes to the worm compost tea to make sure you have the best one. But before we get started, if you could, please give us a green thumbs up. Let us know that we're making great videos for you. Also, if you could, hit the subscribe button. It's right down there somewhere. That way there you get notified of any new videos that we do have. We also have a website called gardenerthumb.com, and I'll post a link down in the show notes below that's a good article for this particular video. Now that we get that out of the way, let's get right into it. All right, let's get started with making your worm compost tea. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can get very simple, and I'll go over that way as far as being pretty simple as far as doing this, making this really without much equipment or anything. Then you can really, the other way is you can really up your game with this and really give what you're getting out of the worm compost tea the best possible one that you can make. So just a little explanation as far as worm compost tea. It is very useful for your garden, for any of your plants, your grass, your shrubs, vegetables, because what it is, it's made up of all these healthy microbes that are really healthy for your plant soil. It's also healthy for the plant as well. It helps it with preventing a lot of different diseases, gives your plant really an extra boost of nutrients and healthy microbes that do make the plant healthy. The more healthy microbes that you can get into your plants, the better off they're going to be. So I want to, if you're into vermicomposting, I want to just kind of separate two different things so that you're aware of what the difference is. So if you have a worm compost bin, you know that there's some liquid that you can collect that comes out of it. That comes out of the bin itself. Usually in the bottom there's a reservoir of some sort. You may have it, you may not have it, but most of them have a reservoir. That is not actual worm compost tea. That is what they call leachate, worm leachate. And that stuff is, I still use it in my garden, but I use it in the wintertime, and I'll just kind of dump it in my soil because it has time to break down and everything in there. But I don't use it directly on my plants because it doesn't have all the healthy microbes that you do need for that. It's not the complete microbes that you find in the compost tea, and it's some say it's actually it can be detrimental for your plants as well, because there's also other microbes in there that are not good for it, and those happen to end up on there. So that's not worm compost tea, so to speak. So even if you dilute that, I wouldn't use it directly in your vegetable garden. You can put it in other plants. I use it in my other shrubs. I'll dilute it with some water and I'll put it in there, and they seem to be fine. But I'm not putting this stuff in my vegetable garden. But what I am putting is this compost tea. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. If you don't have any equipment or anything, you don't have any the basic equipment that I'm going to go over, the very simple way, and I'm just going to give it to you right here, is you just take your worm compost, you dump it into your water, let it sit. That's it. That's really it. You let it sit, and then you're going to have to drain it out. Then you can dilute it down to whatever strength you want after about 24 hours. Now that's still a great way. You can do that, and you're going to get some much beneficial tea out of that, and it's great. And I'm not saying don't try that if you don't have any equipment, but if you want to up your game, and it's all about growing the best vegetables and giving everything the best chance we have, you get just a few little things that you can add to your little compost tea game, right? And I'm going to show you what these are right here. So this is just a bag. It's like a mesh bag. You can find these. I'm also a home brewer, so I brew a little bit of beer sometimes. So these are pretty well known in the beer brewing thing. It's just like a mesh bag that you can close up in there. So you can get one of these right here. I think they're like $5. And then the other thing you can get is just a very simple aquarium pump. You don't have to get anything too crazy or anything big. All this is doing is when you put this in here, and I'll show you afterwards, you put it in here and it's just going to create more oxygen for your for the tea itself. So that's the other thing. I think these run about 10-15 bucks for them. You don't have to get anything crazy big. And then the other thing, this is, I don't really see this too much talked about, but this is molasses. So if you're into home brewing, maybe you're not, I don't know. But yeast is really big important. Yeast and any kind of organic matter or microbes, they will feed off of the sugar. So what adding molasses will do, oxygenating it, getting all that oxygen in there, getting the microbes in here with a little bit of, just a little bit of molasses, this thing will give your microbes will explode. I'm telling you right now, this is the stuff that will up your game when it comes to compost tea. You will have, this stuff is like magic. I mean, compost, vermicompost itself, I love this stuff. I mean, if you haven't seen any of my videos, take a look above. I'll post a video up there so you can make your own. But really, this stuff is like, I mean, it's just, it does wonders for your plants. I spray this on everything, even my grass. So all the benefits that I'm telling you about, I mean, really, I'll post you know, some show notes in there as well if you want to get some more information. But let me show you what to do. So basically, the matter is, you take some of your vermicompost, and I'd say it probably about, you know, 2 cups is probably enough. I did a little bit more in here, but you can get away with about 2 cups of compost, and you want to go through it. So you just want to make sure there's no worms in here. I mean, you know, this one's pretty much on my bottom section of my bin, so there's not too many, I didn't have to pick up too many worms. And then there's even some scraps in here. And this is why I like to do this in the bag, because, you know, some of the stuff might not be decomposed. Like I have some eggshells in there and stuff that just haven't broke down. There's a few small little twigs or something in here. So there's a lot of like little things in there. So that's why I like using the bag, because you'll find out when you go and you try to strain this later, it just makes it a lot easier, and you don't have to worry about straining it. I mean, it's literally already done in here for you. So when you put it in your spray bottles, you know, like I use this right here, or even just your hand mister, nothing's gonna get clogged in this. So it's really important to strain it. So all I do is really I just take my compost, and I'm not gonna put this all in because this stuff is like gold for the garden too, but I'm gonna put about 2 big handfuls of it in my bag. I'll just do it over here so you guys can see. So I'm just gonna put 2. I'm gonna leave like a cup of this left because I think this just deserves to go in my other bag. All right. Put it in here, and obviously this thing is huge, but this is for my beer brew and stuff, so I don't really have to get anything else. And then what I do is, one thing you have to be aware of with this is one of the most important parts of it, honestly, is you need to use filtered water. And the reason is because these microbes, the water that you get from your tap is most likely has chlorine in it. So I use a water filter. I have a big thing because of my brewing, my home brewing, that I use to filter out the water. But if you don't have one of those, simply all you need to do is just fill up your bucket. So get a 5-gallon bucket, just fill it up with water. Fill it up maybe to just a little bit below the top, right? Maybe up to this line right here, because you don't want to, because you're going to be sticking the stuff in here, so you want some room for it to go. And then you put your pump in here too, so you don't want to fill it up exactly at the top, but you know, enough like of here so it's not too filled up. And then you just let it sit for maybe 24 to 48 hours, and what it will do is the off gas, everything will come out of the chlorine will dissipate out of it, so it'll be perfectly fine for it. If you don't do that, then the microbes will could potentially be killed. So, and that's really what we're going after here, is all the microbes. So you want to make sure you do that. If you don't have filtered water, just do that, and you'll be fine with it. And then, like I said, you put your compost in here, and your water. And I got a little hook on here just so I can grab it so it doesn't come out. right? So I leave it in here, filled up with water. And then the other thing I add is, for every 5 gallons, I usually add about a half a teaspoon to a half of a tablespoon to a tablespoon of molasses. And simply you just add it in just enough. And this is going to be enough for the microbes to do what they need to do. I don't really measure anything either. I'm one of those gardeners. All right. So you got enough in here. Now this, just so you know, the other thing I like to use is I like to use the organic molasses, the unsulfured. It's just, you know, another thing. I mean, if I'm going to be adding, trying to get everything somewhat good in there. So you have your water in here. You mix it up if you really want. You don't really have to do much else. And then all you're doing is you're sticking your pump right in here. Throw it on in a nice area, maybe in your garage, somewhere where it's not in the sun or anything, or bugs or anything. You can even cover the top of it up if you really want, but you don't really have to do that. You can put like a net over or something, but never have any problems. Just plug it in somewhere. Let this sit for about 24 to 48 hours. I mean, 24 hours is probably enough with this. This will, and then once you get everything in here, and then after 24 hours, what you want to do is you take out your, you're going to take out your bag. If I can get this unhooked here. Okay. Now this compost that's left over in here, you can just throw it in the garden. I mean, it's not, all the bacteria, microbes, everything that came out of it are in here now. So it's been steeping in here. So there's really not much else you can do with this piece of it. But this stuff right here, you take out your pump and everything. This stuff is ready to go. What I like to do to use the worm compost tea is, you know, I basically take it and I put it in a spray bottle. What I'll do is dilute it a little bit. I usually dilute it's usually 1-to-1 ratio, so I put half water and half of this, and I spray this right on the plants. It's great. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you really want a big thing, you get one of those pump sprayers, put it in here, and you can use that to spray it. And that's why it's really important to filter it out. You can do another secondary filter if you really wanted to, if you're really into that stuff, but you don't have to. Just, you know, use it. Now, if you are doing the first method where you just dumping the compost in and you don't have one of these, then you definitely want to filter it out somehow, because what will happen, these sprays, they get clogged up very easily. So that's the reason why I do this step right here. It's really important to do that. But if you're just putting it in a bucket, you can just put it in your watering can, and I would say 1-to-1 ratio for that as well. And just sprinkle it right over your flowers. The soil loves it. It's great on the plants itself. The plants will absorb it and take it in. So those are the ways that you can, you know, practically use this stuff. I would try to use this, you know, within, you know, probably I'd say less than a week, because if you let it sit out, it's gonna stew up, and there's microbes in here, so they're gonna grow and grow and grow. So I would get it out there as soon as you can into the soil. And that's basically it. I mean, you know, as I said, there's not much equipment that you need. I'll put some links in the show notes of the stuff that I use, but it's really pretty simple. If you don't have anything, if you don't want to do it, just have your worm compost. You can just do it just like that. Hopefully this has helped you out. If you could, please give us a green thumbs up. Let us know that we're making great videos for you. Also, if you could, hit the subscribe button down below. That way there you get notified of any new videos that we do have. We also have a website called gardenerthumb.com. I'm going to have my shirt here. You can see it. Gardenerthumb.com, where we offer lots of tips and tricks and all that other stuff if you want to see that written. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.